All, welcome to this another exciting webinar by Prabhudas Liladhar. And today we are proud to present Purnartha Investment Advisory, a very reputed name in the field of investment advisory. And they had been very consistent performers on which the today's speaker, Mr. Rakesh, will throw more light on. So, on behalf of Sandeep Raichura, CEO of Prabhudas Liladhar, I welcome you all to this exciting series of webinar. Again, bringing back some new topics and bringing this Purnartha tie-up where we will be officially now distributing Purnartha's product also to our clients. And before I ask Mr. Rakesh to start the webinar, I'll just like to introduce him. Mr. Rakesh had been an ex-colleague. We had worked together in Motilal, Oswal, and now Rakesh is heading the institutional side of Purnartha Advisory, Purnartha Investment Advisory. And in his last 20 years of stint in capital markets, he has played key role in building prime brokerage business for Edelweiss. Then he has played key role in building Sharekhan and Motilal Oswal's retail broking business as well. And he has also worked with Prabhudas Leeladhar for a couple of years, almost like 4 years, Rakesh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so almost like 4 years. So we all know Rakesh as a diehard capital market enthusiast who keeps updating himself and educating people as his passion. And with all this background to the whole webinar, I invite Rakesh to start the session.
Sure. Thank you, Piyush, and thanks a lot, Sandeep, and entire PL team for this opportunity to interact with all our partners and clients today. So, guys, before I start, I'll just like to introduce Purnartha in a very simple manner. So, first thing, very important, Purnartha is not a portfolio management company. It's an independent equity research and investment advisory company. Now, why it is so important to understand this difference is that in PMS, we actually take the funds of the client and we manage as a fund manager. But in investment advisory, the ownership of the funds remains with the client, and we will be purely an advisor to the client. So there will be a relationship between client and Purnartha as an advisor-client relationship, and the execution will happen at Prabhudas Leeladhar based on that advice. So this is the context with which I would like to start today's a small presentation. So the presentation will not be long. It will be a maximum 15 to 20-minute presentation, because the way we deal with this product is to invite all of you to participate in all your questions, concerns, doubts. That is where the engagement happens and a lot of things gets cleared, because it's a very unique proposition. So definitely we appreciate that there will be a lot of queries, and I'm more than happy to answer all the queries till the last query. So we will not have any restriction on time as such to have queries. We will be taking all the queries. So please be rest assured on that. So to start with, Purnartha as a firm strongly believes in the philosophy of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which simply means what is good for me and my family is good for my clients. And I think this philosophy itself has built a lot of trust and commitment with a lot of our clients. And as we speak, currently we are managing close to 7,500 families and 7,000 crore as asset under advisory. So this has been the journey so far in the last 15 years, what we have covered. So Purnartha is led by Mr. Rahul Rathi. He's the chairman and fund manager of the company. Rahul has done his MBA from Carnegie Mellon University, USA, and he has worked with a couple of hedge funds in USA before he came back to India. And in that process, I think the most striking thing which I think was part of his experience was to manage risk, especially in the hedge funds environment. We all know that how important it is to manage the risk, and that is where he got the secret sauce of fund management, that if I am able to manage risk well, returns will be just an outcome. So instead of chasing returns as a philosophy, we have always been cognizant of the fact that it is very important to manage the risk, and returns is just an outcome. And based on that, the entire philosophy has been designed. So this slide is very important. If I have to break my presentation into two parts, trust me, this is the 90% of my presentation. Rest is more of a sales communications and all that, but this is the heart of Purnarta philosophy. So the first question anybody has in mind, boss, what are the kind of companies or what are the kind of businesses we invest into? And this slide will give you the color on the entire philosophy, what we think and how we execute. And if somebody can understand this philosophy, and if somebody is convinced that yes, this philosophy is great, and somebody can execute it to the T level, then I think we are home in terms of getting our desired returns. So to start with, as we all know, we have almost like 4,000, 5,000 companies listed in Indian markets. So humanly and technically, it's not possible for anybody to do research on this entire all companies. So obviously, there is a need to create a framework which filters out a lot of unwanted companies which doesn't fit into our parameters and which doesn't show any kind of probability of growing our money or growing our wealth. So what we have done is we have designed a 5-pointer framework, and based on that we get a universe of stocks on which our team will start the research. So to start with, the first framework pointer is the company's age. The company has to be minimum 11 years old in operation. Now, what is this mean? This simply means that the company has to be in business for minimum 11 years. That does not necessarily mean that company has to be listed for 11 years. Now, what is the logic behind 11 years is very, very important to know for all of us. There are 2 or 3 reasons that why we have selected 11 years for any company to judge whether we should evaluate that company or not. 11 years takes care of a couple of things. First, there are at least 2 political cycles which the company goes through in 11 years, if not more. And we all know that how there are certain sectors, how there are certain companies which just grows or thrive only in a particular political environment, and they are just not able to grow, or they are just not able to control their businesses in another political environment. So definitely we will like to stay away from those kind of businesses who are doing their business at the mercy of a particular political regime. So we want to invest in businesses which will grow, which will survive across all political environments. Even if there is no government, in spite of that, they will grow and survive. That is the crux of that 11 year. Second reason for 11 years, we all know that in a period like 11 years, we will see at least 2 economic cycles. Okay. And that is where again the character of the company comes out very, very strikingly, that how the company has survived and grown across all economic cycles. Because in bad times, the company have to survive, and in good times, they have to grow. So this is the kind of pattern which we have to see in this 11 years, that how they are continuing their journey in spite of all political environment, in spite of all economic cycles. And lastly, very, very important, natural calamities. So again, 11 years will give you some kind of color on natural calamities as well. If the company has gone through some plant shutdowns due to natural calamities, a business disruption due to natural calamities, and how that business has come out very, very strongly out of that. So when we see all this in a span of 11 years, we build a sketch of a company that, okay, this is what the general uh, color of the company is. This is the general DNA of the company, and DNA of the company generally don't change overnight. And we assume and we want to believe that this will continue to happen even in future. That yes, there will be ups and downs in every business, in everybody's life, but then these are the companies which will come back very, very strongly. So this is the first parameter. The second parameter, and mind you, all these parameters are required. It's not about 1 or 2 or 3 parameters. It's about all the 5 parameters has to be in a place for me to take that company into the universe of my research. The second parameter, which is very, very important, any business can grow only if it grows on volumes. No business can grow just by increasing your sale prices, because beyond the point, the market will not allow you to grow your prices. So that is where the volume growth is very, very important. So what is that volume growth? Volume growth basically shows how the management is very, very focused on consumer centric products, and they have the capability to launch new products and achieve a scale as well. And the number which we are targeting for volume growth is linked to the GDP number of the country. Now, for example, in the current challenging times where we are seeing a GDP growth of 1 or 2%, that is where we will be looking at a band of at least 1.5 times of the GDP as the volume growth. Now, when the times are good, we will definitely increase that benchmark to 2 times and 3 times of the GDP. So the idea here is my company in which I'm planning to invest should outperform the India's GDP growth on volumes. So for example, when the GDP growth is 5 to 6%, that is where India is doing great, then we will increase the benchmark to 3 times of the GDP. So at least I will be looking at a volume growth of 15 to 18%. But now in the current times, I'm quite okay to see the volume growth even 6 to 8%. So this is what I mean by volume growth. And volume growth is measured in units, in the number of items sold. So for example, if it's an automobile car company, I just want to see the number of cars sold year on year. So this is the growth of volume in units which I'm talking about. Now this volume growth has to be supported by a sales growth. Now sales growth is in rupee terms, in value, and sales growth has to be exactly double of volume growth. Now one may be curious to know how volume growth can be 6-7% and how sales growth can be 13-14%. So here comes another addition to it. So there are two layers of growth in sales. One, of course, the volume growth 6-7% itself will give you a 6-7% sales growth without changing prices. But we all know that there is a factor called inflation. So there will be an inflation in everything, right from your employee cost, your raw material cost, and other overheads. Now, if the product is good enough, if the company is delivering a quality product, the company will be able to pass on the inflation to the consumer. And that simply shows the strength of the company of passing on the inflation to the customer. If the product is not good enough, they will never be able to pass on the inflation, and they will be just absorbing that inflation. So the volume growth will not give you that desired sales growth. And that is where we will get to know whether the company's product is good enough to pass on the inflation or not. And lastly, very, very important, a strong brand. A company which is having a brand will always command a premium over and above the competitors, in spite that they might have an equally good product. But if they don't have a brand, I think you will not be able to charge a premium, and that is where you get another 2 to 3% brand premium. So if you add up the volume growth, which is 6-7%, inflation 4-5%, and brand, which is 2-3% premium, you roughly get around 12-14% sales growth. Now, this is very, very interesting that yes, the company is growing across all the market cycles with volume growth, with sales growth. Now, there is no fun in having sales if you are not able to recover your money from your customers. Now, this is where it brings to our third pointer, which is operating cash flow. So my operating cash flow, that is the recovery of the money from all my customers, should be exactly in line with the sales what I've done. So my operating cash flow also has to grow by 12-14% year on year. Now, interestingly, any company who will grow on operating cash flow level at this kind of rate, trust me, that company will double itself every 4 to 5 years. Now, what I mean by double itself, it will double its cash reserves every 4-5 years. And that kind of company will never ever require debt in its lifetime. And that brings me to the fourth pointer of my philosophy, that the companies which we will be looking at will be net cash companies. They will be debt-free companies because of all the parameters which I've just discussed. And that is where I think the entire risk management part, which I was talking about, that no company can go bust unless it has a debt. Yes, your company may go slow, they may do less sales, but at least they will not shut down if they don't have debt. So that is the hallmark of the philosophy, and this we have been following for the last 15 years. And we all know that all the companies which are into dire state today, it is because of the debt problems. And that is very, very important. Of course, this doesn't apply to financial companies. So this framework will apply to non-financial companies, the debt-free status. For financial companies, we will have other parameters like the number of customers added, the NPA numbers, the new products launched, new geographies, and all that. But yes, for 70% of our portfolio, which is into non-financials, this is the framework which will apply. Now, what we have observed over a period of time, that once we have got this universe, then we did some research on that universal companies. So the list was around just 35 to 40 companies, trust me. So that is the list on which we are working now. So there is a 3-layer research which happens on this universe. First, the fundamental research team itself will do its entire primary and the fundamental research. And then we have an investigative journalism team, which is on our payrolls. It's an 8 to 10 member team. Which actually hits the ground and which will meet the competitors of the company, which will meet the bankers of the company, employees of the company, suppliers of the company, just to get a sense of whatever research we have done that adds up or not. Now, for example, if the company has told me that, okay, we are planning to expand in next year, and if I'm meeting the supplier of the company, he doesn't have any clue, that simply says that it's not adding up, because any company which has to expand will have to give orders to the supplier at least 6 to 8 months in advance. So those are the kind of pointers which we will be looking and gathering from the ground. And last, very, very important, we have 7,500 clients, as I said, pan globe. And there are a lot of senior people who are into very, very senior positions in their own sectors. So there are a lot of insights which we gather from at least 30 to 35 people who have volunteered to share their insights on the sector level. So that is the kind of information which you will never get generally in your public domain, that how's the sector shaping up kind of thing. So when all this adds up, that is where we come to a basket of 6 to 8 stocks. And this is the most important USP of our product, not a single product on the street you will find which is having that concentrated a portfolio of just 6 to 8 stocks. So we understand that 6 to 8 stocks is too concentrated a portfolio, and that is the reason we have created such a strict benchmark and strict framework where the risk management has to be taken care of. And we have done a research on the way the stocks have performed over the last 15 years. And one common thing which has come around in all the stocks as a portfolio, that these stocks usually have a lower drawdown in markets. When the market falls, they will have a lower drawdown, but when the market recovers, they have a very, very fast recovery because of its quality attributes. So this is more or less the framework on which we operate. And definitely I will be taking all the questions once I just get finished with this presentation. So just to summarize, a company which is minimum 11 years operating history, volume growth of 10%, sales growth of 20%. So this is like a general number, but yes, as I said, it is linked to GDP number, operating cash flow growth, and net cash balance sheet for a non-financial company. And last, a very soft aspect of our framework is the promoter skin in the game. Now, what do I mean by promoter skin in the game? It simply means that how much interested is the promoter to do this business, and that we get to know with two things. One, how much time does the promoter spend in the company? So if the promoter has multiple businesses, definitely that promoter will not be having enough time to focus on this business in which we are planning to invest. Plus, if there is any problem in the business, the promoter might not be motivated enough to solve the problem, and he may just walk out and get focused on other businesses. So definitely we will not like to invest in such companies where promoters have multiple interests, and we need to invest with focused promoters. Second thing, the stake of the promoter in the company is very, very important. So it's not about how much stake it has. So it might be having only 20% stake. I'm completely okay with that till the time that 20% stake is almost 60-70% of his net worth. So that is the equation which I'm more happy to look at rather than just looking at the stake of the company. So when the equation is so strong in favor of the promoter will not usually do anything wrong with that company which might affect his entire net worth. So this is the 5 point of framework which I just discussed. Now, in this whole discussion, what I was trying to focus is the businesses. Nowhere I said about markets, nowhere I've spoken about anything about stock market, because the emotion with which we buy the stock is a partner's emotion. So we don't buy the stock seeing at the CNBC ticker or a technical chart or a market prices, because the emotion with which you buy will decide the emotion with which you keep and with which you sell the stock. So for example, if I buy the stock seeing a CNBC ticker, there will be a rush for me to sell for the next 10% move and 20% move. That is not the case with us. So in our case, we will never have any stop loss. We will never have any target. The exit framework is very, very defined, and I will just walk you through that as well. So as I said, when markets go down, we will go down too. But when markets recover, we will recover very, very fast and with a very larger margin. And now coming to the constitution of the portfolio. So as I said, we will be investing in 6 to 8 stocks only. Now, because of the framework, what I just shared with you, we end up investing in the leaders of every sector. Now, the beauty of investing with the leaders is two. One, they are the first to capture the entire business opportunity. The moment the market recovers, the opportunity will be seized by the leaders first. And that is where you always see the large cap running first, then mid cap, and then small cap. And vice versa also. So when the things are not that great, the leaders are the last to go out of business. Now, that is the beauty of investing with the leaders. So because of this framework, we will end up investing in leaders of every sector, and there will be only one stock in each sector. That is very, very important, because at a 6 to 8 stock level, I can be having two or three stocks in the same sector. So that is again another risk management what we do. So what you buy is important, very, very important. So people just keep on asking me, what are you buying? What are you buying? I think that is too much to ask for. I think everybody's just focusing on the name of the stocks. Nobody focuses on the other two things, which has actually created wealth for a lot of people. That how much to buy. Okay. Now this is something I think has been the USP of Purnartha, that the allocations have been very, very scientifically designed, that how much stock to buy of a particular company, and last, how long to hold. So we will be holding the stock till the time the business is meeting our philosophy. The moment the business breaches our philosophy, we will go on hold, and we will see whether the problem is a permanent or a temporary. If the problem is a permanent, we will sell that stock. Now, what do I mean by permanent problem? Any problem which is not going to be solved for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, what could be that problem? Problem are of two types. One is the demand problem and one is the supply problem. I am more worried about the demand problem. I'm not at all worried about the supply problem. So, for example, if the company's product has a huge demand, but there is no supply of raw materials because of lockdown, because of corona, whatever, I'm quite okay to continue holding that stock, because supply problem will always be solved sooner or later. 2 महीने के बाद होगा, 3 महीने के बाद होगा, बट वो पक्का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होगा, बिकॉज डिमांड है प्रोडक्ट का. बट अगर डिमांड ही नहीं है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होने वाला है. सो फॉर मी द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ डिमांड इज अ वेरी, वेरी सीरियस प्रॉब्लम, and if I don't see that coming back for next 3 to 5 years, I will get out of that stock. So we are not married to any stock, but having said that, our holding period could be anywhere on a lower side 18 to 24 months, on a higher side it could be 7 to 8 years. So the average portfolio holding, if you want, the answer is 3 years. So that is the kind of portfolio which we hold, and the expectation of this product for the client should be at least 3 to 5 years. So anybody who is looking to invest for less than 3 years, trust me, not a great idea to come with this product. 3 to 5 years, amazing product, amazing research and all that, but because business performance usually takes time to converge with stock prices, and the usual period is 3 to 4 years. Sometimes it might happen early, but sometimes it might happen with a lag. So if the performance is coming in first year or second year, trust me, it's just a luck. It's not by design. So from the framework perspective, this is a great product for 3 to 5 years, and we are here to create wealth for our clients. So this sheet I'm just showing you to give you a flavor that how we recover. So this is not to say what are the returns. Yes, of course, these are the returns which we have generated over the last 11 years. But I think the more focus one should do is the kind of recoveries what we have done. So yes, as I said, when market goes down, we will go down too. So if you see 11, 12, 12, 13 and 13, 14 versus Nifty, the kind of recoveries has been almost like 3 to 4 times. So if Nifty has recovered by 18%, we have recovered by 50%. If Nifty has recovered by 25%, we have recovered by 110%. Now that's the beauty of concentrated investing. Till the time you are with the right stocks, I think there is a huge difference in the market returns and our portfolio returns. Reason being very simple. Markets Nifty will have to pull 50 stocks along with it to grow. But at our level, we have just invested into 6 to 8 right stocks. And if you see last 4-5 years, we all know that how only 5 to 10 stocks in the Nifty is pulling up the Sensex. And if you are in some of those 5-10 stocks, rightfully, I think we have done for that part of it. So this is what our performance has been till now. And we have broken this performance into quarter by quarter also for everybody to see. This presentation will be shared with everybody. It is already there with PL. So Piyush will be this presentation with all post this webinar. So not a problem. So if I want to plot all this number in a chart, so anybody who had invested 1 crore with Purnartha in 2009 has become 30.91 crores as on 31st March 2020. This includes all your corrections of IL&FS crisis, your NPA scams, your demonetization, and the recent corona as well. So yes, there will be ups and downs, as I said, but the difference is so huge that it's worth taking that risk. Now the problem is that we all take risk in various equity products, but then we are not enjoying the returns for that said risk. So if you are taking the risk of the equity, I think the expectation should be reasonable enough for us to justify that risk. And these are the recent performances. So as I said, we are an investment advisory company. Every client will be having a separate portfolio depending on the time at which he is joining us. So anybody who has joined us on June 2014, he or she is sitting on a CAGR of 24.31%. This data is on as on 30th May 2020. Okay. Anybody who has invested with us on 2015 is having a CAGR of 14.55% versus Nifty broadly 434% CAGR. So this is the kind of return what we have generated. And last year, June 2019, anybody has invested with us. Of course, a lot of people have invested. The returns are minus 5.45%, which is nothing considering the kind of current fall what we are seeing in the market. So this is the point which I was trying to make, that when we fall, the drawdowns are lower, but when we grow, the growth is much, much higher. So technically, every 3 to 4 years, we are looking at least a range of 20 to 25% returns over a period of 3 to 5 years. Now, I don't know which year will be that in which we will be getting that bumper returns, but yes, on a 3 to 5 year basis, we are pretty sure and pretty confident about generating at least 20% plus returns for our clients. Of course, recent times have been challenging and exceptional, but we will all take this in our stride and we will come back much, much stronger. Still, till the time you are participating in the markets, I think you should not worry if you are with the right stocks. And if I want to compare my product with across all the PMSs and all that, so there also we score very, very high. So across 3 to 5 years period, we have been ranked number one. We have done an internal study and we are more than happy to share that data as well. Piyush, I will be sharing that data where we will be comparing ourselves with all the PMSs, and we do that study month on month. So this data again, as on 31st March 2020, nothing much has changed after 2 months. Well, so 3 years return has been 5.4% CAGR, and 5 years return has been 15.2% CAGR. Across all PMSs, this is the best returns one could generate. If I compare myself with mutual funds in the same category or similar category, again, on a 4 year, 5 year basis, we have one of the, in fact, number one performer when it comes to mutual funds as well. Now, coming to the fees part of it, so we have two plans. One is the annual plan and one is the 3 year plan. Now, again, just to clarify again, we are not a PMS. So there are a couple of things which we can do, which a PMS cannot. So the first thing, a PMS ticket size is 50 lakh. We don't have any such restriction. So as a business, we have kept it as a 25 lakh ticket size. So again, this is a great opportunity for a lot of people who wanted to invest in PMS but have missed investing in PMS because of the ticket size. Here you will be getting much better experience than the PMS as well, and on a lower ticket size, and you will be having entire control of your stocks in your own demat account. So you don't have to open a new demat account. Your existing account with Prabhudas Liladhar is good for you to continue and take this advisory plan. So coming back to fees, we have two plans, 1 year plan and 3 year plan. In 1 year, what we offer is 2.5% upfront fees. Whatever amount you commit, be it 25 lakh, 50 lakh, a crore, 2.5% will be upfront fee, and hurdle rate what we offer is 25%. And anything above hurdle rate what we achieve, we will be charging profit sharing of 20%. So that simply means that up to 25% you don't have to pay us anything. You have already paid us, and after that, it is 20% profit sharing only for the incremental profits. But one more very, very important thing again, which I have not seen any PMS doing this. This 25% hurdle rate is post-tax. So what does that mean is, if I generate 30%, I will reduce 3% as long-term capital gains, and I will be charging profit sharing fees only on that extra 2%, 27 minus 25. So this is very, very important, that how we are trying to be as client-centric as possible. So this is the annual plan. And of course, we have other options as well based on the client's preferences, and nothing changes from the research point of view. So don't get under the impression that fees ये होगा तो ये return होगा. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Return सब में वही होने वाला है. Profit sharing fees सबका change हो जाएगा. So as you lower the fixed fee, the hurdle rate also keeps on decreasing. So for example, if you come for 2%, the hurdle rate will be 15%. So होगा क्या, वो 10% जो है उसका आपको profit sharing देना पड़ेगा 2% if I achieve 25%. So बचाया आपने 0.5%, but देना पड़ेगा 2%. So that is the call which we leave it to the client. Of course, we can help them facilitate the decision, but at the end of the day, it's the client's decision, and we are quite okay with any plan. The plan is as low as 0.6% or so, but there the hurdle rate is 0. So anything which we make, we will be charging profit sharing of 20% to the client. and next year the client has to renew with any plan of his choice again. So that is the kind of setup in which we operate. Now, because we keep on saying that this is a 3 to 5 year product, a lot of clients came to us and told us that, guys, why are you offering us only 1 year plan? And because of that, we might lose out an opportunity to generate returns. Because usually what happens, maybe in the first year you might not see returns, and you might just go out of the relationship, and the second year the returns start coming in and you lose out on that opportunity. So here in a 3 year plan, based on the client's suggestions, we are giving an option to the client to lock itself in 3 years by paying a fees of 9.5% or 7% depending on its choice, and a hurdle rate of 95% and 52%. So all the calculations will be done after 3 years. So it's a great combination where we are doing 2.5 into 3, which is 7.5, with a CAGR of 25% become 9.5. Again, 25% hurdle rate into 375 with the CAGR of 25 becomes 95. And till the time we don't achieve 95%, your service will continue. So you don't have to renew the contract till the time we achieve 95%. Of course, there will be a lot of questions on the pricing. I will be taking that post this presentation. And last, very, very important thing, I think in the last 3 months, we all have struggled in opening accounts, in opening especially PMS accounts. Purnartha is 100% online. The moment the client says, okay, I'm liking this product and I want to sign up, trust me, in the next 15 minutes, he can sign up with us in a 100% online environment. Now, what does that mean? He simply have to submit 6 things on email or WhatsApp: name, email ID, cell number, Aadhaar card photo, PAN card photo, and a cancel check. The moment I get the 6 details, I will do all the form filling on my net, and we will be sending a link to the client's email ID. And client just has to accept that link, and the onboarding is done. And parallelly, the client will have to transfer the fees amount to Purnartha's bank account. The bank details will be shared, and it's all about that. And within 2 days, the client will be getting a recommendation email of the entire portfolio, which the client has to execute within 7 days with PL. And once that is done, I think it's good to go. Then every day there will be a reporting. The client will have a Purnartha's login ID. The client will have a Purnartha's mobile app as well. And every 3 months, the client will be getting an opportunity to talk to the fund manager of the company, Mr. Rahul Rati, where they can ask all the questions post the market results, post the company results of the investee companies. So this is the level of engagement what we do with all our clients. And the conference call will be long enough to handle all the questions of the client. So this is again the DNA of Purnartha, that we don't let go any question unanswered. And that's the instruction which we follow to the last employee also. So even today, I will be taking all the questions, no matter how much time does it take. And we are spread across 8 cities. We are headquartered in Pune. I'm based out of Bombay. I take care of the entire institutional relationships, and it's a great feeling to come back to Prabhudas liladhar in a different avatar. And other products, just feel free to call us anytime. Piyush is there, and we will be all out to close your deals. Even if you can just open up meetings, I think in the first 2-3 meetings you can involve us with the client interactions, and then maybe based on your own confidence level, maybe post third meeting you can be on your own. But having said that, we are more than happy to get into client conversations and close the deals for you as well, to take the client through this entire philosophy. So we are spread in Pune, Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, Calcutta, Bangalore, and Ahmedabad as well. So you will be having a dedicated person in each of the cities for institutions. Wherever we have a branch, be it Delhi, Hyderabad, I believe Bangalore, we have branch, Chennai. So everywhere we will have one dedicated person. Some of them are already on the call. So in Pune, we have Samir. In Bombay, we have Babu Thomas. Hyderabad, we have Ravi. Chennai, we have Rajesh. Bangalore, we have Sharath. And Ahmedabad, we have Kunal. And there are a couple of people who are just in the process of joining, especially in Calcutta and I think Delhi. Yeah. But till then, there are people who will assist you, and I'm always available. So this is from my side. I think I'm done with my formal presentation, and I'm more than happy to open up this for Q&A. I think the best thing what works, if people can type their questions in this Q&A, I can start taking questions one by one, or whatever format you decide. I'm okay with anything.
Yeah, I think we are good with the questions coming in the chat box of the Q&A session. And guys, the session has ended, and thank you, Rakesh, for the uh, insightful points which you made, and the performance itself speaks louder than anything else. And your frameworks, which are connected to volume, sales, and operating cash flow growth, were actually really very insightful. So with this, guys, we are open actually for question and answers. And the first question we are getting is from Mr. Rajnikant from Hyderabad. Can we give Sharia compliant advisory?
Okay. So as of now, no, because as I said, we are a 6 to 8 stock portfolio, and we are more focused on the wealth creating opportunities, and we don't want to get restricted by any particular philosophy of any faith. So as of now, no, but in future, you never know. So whenever it happens, definitely we'll keep you posted. But as of now, it's a very straightforward portfolio, more of consumer facing companies. 30% will be financials and 70% will be non-financials. But all of these companies will be leaders in their own sectors, will be consumer facing. That much is sure.
Okay, the next question is from Mr. Kushal. Is it the multiple of 25 lakh, or it can be odd number also after 25?
So after 25 lakh, it can be anything. It's not necessary. After 25 lakh, it can be anything.
Great. So 25 is the minimum ticket size, and after 25 lakhs, it can be an odd number as well. So another question from Mr. Ashok Nayadish. Are the stocks fixed during the entire tenure, or do you change it?
Okay. As I said, this is a portfolio, and this portfolio will not change till the time there is a business philosophy breach. So there could be exit of the stock, okay, during the tenure, no doubt about it. But the average holding period is 2 years to 7 to 8 years. So at a portfolio level, you can expect that if you invest 25 lakhs today, there will be like one churn in 3 years of 25 lakhs. So my yearly churn is like hardly 20%. मतलब मुश्किल से 5 लाख का कोई एग्जिट होगा तो होगा वो भी again it's not a process, it's just an experience which I'm sharing, because that stock would have been in my portfolio for the last 5 years. For you it's the first year.
So something on the similar lines, another question from Mr. Ajay Maheshwari. Suppose the stocks are as per your recommendation and they don't perform consecutively for 2 years, then
Yeah.
how to balance the portfolio?
Okay, so I was just waiting for this question, and that will bring to me sharing another document with everybody. Just give me a minute. Okay, is this document readable, Piyush?
Can you slightly enlarge it?
Yeah,
By
sure. I'll do that.
Yeah, now it is good.
Okay, I'll keep it that way only. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So अजय जी आपका जो क्वेश्चन है, so I will just take it scenario wise. तो तीन चीजें हो सकती है when somebody gives us 25 lakhs, or say let's example के लिए 100 रुपया लेते हैं. So there are three situations which can come up. First situation, that we achieve 30% returns instead of 25, or anything above 25 for that matter. I think this is a great situation. Nobody is complaining about this situation and everybody is happy. So 30% is the actual returns, and capital gains tax, as I said, I will reduce 3 rupees. So of course this 3 rupees has to be paid by the client, not me, but I am taking this, giving you this benefit that I am not charging performance fee on this 3 rupees. So net performance is 27, and I will be charging 20% of 2 rupees, which is 0.4. So यहाँ तक कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, और अगले साल आप वापस रिन्यू करोगे 130 रुपए से कोई भी प्लान सिलेक्ट करके. अगेन यू कैन सिलेक्ट 1 ईयर प्लान, 3 ईयर प्लान. 1 ईयर में कोई भी ऑप्शन ले सकते हो, 3 ईयर में कोई भी ऑप्शन ले सकते हो. नाउ आते हैं सेकंड सिनेरियो पे. नाउ इंस्टेड ऑफ 25% we achieve only 15%, 1.5. Now this is very, very important, and again this is one of the USP of our product. No PMS guy does this, with all due respect, with mutual funds and all that. So what we do is, you can renew the relationship because you are still okay, happy. चलो 15 आया, but then I've still underperformed. So what I will do, whatever plan you select for the next year, I will just add this shortfall to the next year hurdle. For example, if you select 2.5% का plan for next year, तो next year का जो hurdle है वो 25% है, और ये 10% जो shortfall है, you will add up. So next year hurdle is now 35%. So you don't have to pay me any performance fee till I achieve 135 next year. Of course, so your next year principal will be 115 और 115 के ऊपर hurdle rate होगा 35%. So this is the underperformance. And third scenario is bit more great. Now उसमें क्या हो रहा है? Instead of 25%, I perform negatively, say -5% or -10%. तो यहाँ सोचो, if I go to a client and tell him कि sir renew करो, पैसा दो मेरे को, client भगा देगा मेरे को. So here the idea is very very simple. I will go to the client, I will tell him, sir please renew the relationship without any fees. First thing. जब तक 100 रुपया जो आपने दिया है, जो अभी 90 रुपीज चल रहा है या 95 रुपीज चल रहा है, वो 112 नहीं होगा, तब तक सर आप फीस मत देना. The moment it happens 112, maybe after 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, I don't know, I will go to the client and tell him, sir, now you can select any plan, और जो भी shortfall है, so the shortfall is say 30% because 25% तो मुझे देना ही था, और 5% जो लॉस किया वो, तो 30% shortfall will be added to the next year hurdle. So for example, if the client selects this plan, I'll just go to the plans. So next year the client say, okay, मेरे को यार फीस वीस नहीं देना, मेरे को खाली ये लास्ट वाला प्लान लेना है 0.60. So here the hurdle rate is 0%. So this 0% plus 30% will be his next year hurdle. So fees ये देगा 0.60, but hurdle will be 30%. So these are the three options which we consider, but of course this can happen only if the client renews the relationship. अगर क्लाइंट रिन्यू नहीं करेगा तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा. एंड दैट इज द रीजन वी टेल क्लाइंट्स टू प्लीज कम अंडर 3-year प्लान. वहां कोई रिन्यूअल का टेंशन नहीं है. जब तक 95% नहीं होगा, आई विल कंटिन्यू द रिलेशनशिप टिल द टाइम 95 इज अचीव्ड, एंड आफ्टर दैट द क्लाइंट कैन कंटिन्यू विद अस इन अ 1-year plan, 3-year plan. He can withdraw some amount, whatever he wants to do, he can do, and he can renew the plan with a new amount as well. So this is my reply to Ajayji's question on the underperformance and not happening.
We have a question from Mr. Samir Shah from Calcutta. Investor invest at X price, but after 3-4 months, if the market goes down heavily or the prices correct by 10-20%, like the way they have corrected in the March month, then clients will panic. So in this situation, how had you handled the situation of this client panicking,
Okay.
and then convincing him for 3 to 4 years of investment horizon?
Yes. So first thing, Samir bhai, the first thing when we sign up the client, we have to tell them everything about markets. See, coming to market is the decision of the client. इक्विटी में अगर आओगे तो इक्विटी के जो भी रूल्स है वो तो पता होने चाहिए क्लाइंट को कि यहाँ वॉलेटिलिटी होगी, ड्रॉडाउन होगा. ड्रॉडाउन तब तक नहीं होता जब तक आप बुक नहीं करते हो. सो 25-30% ड्रॉडाउन के लिए मेंटली क्लाइंट को हमेशा रेडी रहना पड़ेगा. दैट इज वन. सेकेंड थिंग, 3 to 5 year का टाइम देना पड़ेगा. प्लीज डोंट टेक एनी मनी विच द क्लाइंट नीड इन द नेक्स्ट 1 year. So see, somewhere I think as an advisor, we will have to profile our clients very very clearly, and then of course there will be a lot of discussions that why these companies are great companies and why this fall should not be worried, kind of thing. That the moment the market recovers, our companies will be the first to recover because of their leadership position. So yes, we get into engagement, we get into conversations with the client and handle them. That's our job. So that is the only thing which we can do. Otherwise, at the end of the day, it's a client's decision if he panics in 3-4 months. So trust me, this is not a product for 3-4 months, and nobody knows the top and the bottom of the market. So for us, trust me, we have seen many stocks going down by 25% from their tops 20 times, and now they are putting at 52-week highs. So for example, I'll just give you a stock, say DMart. वो 600 में लिया था, 1000 हो गया, वापस 700 हो गया, फिर 1200-1500 हो गया, वापस 1000 हो गया. So ऐसे हमने 20 बार देखा है उसको. So the idea here is to not to focus on the price, but on the business. Till the time the business is performing, I will keep the stock. Business perform नहीं कर रहा है, हम निकल जाएंगे. I'll give you another example of Maruti. So we exited Maruti in 2019, April 2019. We were holding that stock for 7 years. Okay, 1500 रुपए से लिया था या 1600 रुपए से, almost 6 years तक holding था हमारा. We have seen the stock up to 10,000 rupees. Okay, now the problem started when there was IIFL crisis. Then we waited for 2 quarters to understand whether the problem was permanent or temporary. And when we realized that the problem was permanent, we got out of that stock in April at 7,500 or 7,800. So one thing is very clear, we will never be able to sell at the top. वो ऊपर से 20% तो मुझे मार्केट को हमेशा देना ही पड़ेगा. बट मेरे लिए मेरा फ्रेमवर्क इतना एक्साइटिंग इसलिए है क्योंकि मैंने 1600 से 7500 का जर्नी कैप्चर किया. हाँ, अभी ये हो सकता है कि किसी ने 10,000 में खरीदा था, उसका लॉस हुआ होगा. बट देन दिस फ्रेमवर्क इज फॉर ऑल द स्टॉक्स. तो अगर वो स्टॉक में लॉस हुआ होगा तो कोई और स्टॉक में उसका प्रॉफिट हो रहा है. तो एट अ पोर्टफोलियो लेवल वी हैव टू परफॉर्म एंड नॉट एट द स्टॉक लेवल वन, एंड एलोकेशंस विल टेक केयर ऑफ द ओवरऑल लॉस. सो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैंने मारुति को एलोकेशन समझो 15% दिया है और उसमें अगर 20% लॉस होता भी है तो एट अ पोर्टफोलियो लेवल सर यू आर लूजिंग 3%. सो वी डोंट हैव टू गेट वेरी वेरी वरीड अबाउट ऑल दिस परफॉर्मेंस. कोई बोलता है बॉस ये स्टॉक 50% कम हो गया, अरे लेकिन मेरा एलोकेशन 10% है उसमें, तो पोर्टफोलियो लेवल पे वो खाली 5% इफेक्ट हो रहा है मेरे को, राइट. सो दैट इज द कॉल ऑफ द फंड मैनेजर which we will be taking from the allocation perspective, and that is the reason which I said the allocation क्यों इतना important है. So our allocations could be anywhere in 20% for a single stock. Piyush, there are some Q&A में भी questions आ रहे हैं, वो भी देखते रहना. I'm not looking at it, you can just see that.
Yeah, so Mr. Kushal is asking, there are two questions to that. How much is the brokerage charged and can we execute on other platform if the brokerage is high? Then Mr. Kushal, I'll just like to answer this on behalf of Rakesh that execution is completely your prerogative. आप कहाँ से भी execute करना चाहे वहाँ से कर सकते हैं. The advisory will come from Purnartha and your execution can be based on your preference. And second question is also from Mr. Kushal that in case they belong to future and options, then can we hedge by writing calls?
Okay, so Kushal bhai, I just want to answer this question. Please do not touch this portfolio for any other thing, either for margin funding or leverage or future and option, because sir लेके आप बेचेगा कोई और उसको, और फिर you will never be able to capture the opportunity for which you paid as the advisory fees. So please keep this portfolio disconnected with all your other activities. Yes, you can do a lot of other activities in your same demat account, but I will just advise, please do not touch this portfolio for your margin purpose, for your leverage purpose and all that, because sir कभी भी अगर उधर कुछ RMS action हुआ, आपका स्टॉक हाथ में से चला जाएगा, and which will not be a great idea from the advisory perspective. Of course, I have no control on that. You have already paid me the fees, so the fees will never be refunded back. But प्रॉफिट शेयरिंग जो होगा फिर वो हिसाब में आपका प्रॉफिट तो नहीं होगा, लेकिन प्रॉफिट शेयरिंग फीस बन जाएगा तो गलत हो जाएगा आपके लिए. तो आई विल एडवाइस प्लीज जस्ट कीप दिस पोर्टफोलियो सेपरेटली, और ऐसे अकाउंट में आप एडवाइजरी लीजिए जिसके अकाउंट में आप एफएनओ और वो सब करते ही ना हो.
एक बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन परेश भाई पूछ रहे हैं, कैन अ क्लाइंट साइन अप in one name and then buy in his multiple family accounts due to IT taxation purpose?
हाँ, तो परेश भाई ये बहुत ही स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन आता है हमें, और ग्लैड यू आस्क्ड दिस. तो सोचिए 15 साल से सर हम ये काम कर रहे हैं और सबने ये क्वेश्चन हमको पूछा कि यार मैं एक का फीस देख के मैं 10 लोगों के अकाउंट में ले सकता हूँ. सर मुझे नहीं पता चलेगा आप लोगे या नहीं लोगे, राइट. वो आप बताओगे भी नहीं और मुझे पता भी नहीं चलेगा. अभी प्रॉब्लम इसमें क्या आती है वो मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ, और वो करने के बाद ही पता चलता है लोगों को, लेकिन मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर सकता हूँ. तो सबसे पहले चीज सर, आइडियाज की कोई कमी नहीं है मार्केट में, पैसा आपका है, सो यू हैव टू डिसाइड, दैट इज फर्स्ट. तो हर आदमी के पास सर 6 से 8 स्टॉक हर आदमी आपको दे देगा, लेकिन अकाउंटेबिलिटी वो नहीं देगा जो आपका एडवाइजर नहीं है. सेकेंड थिंग, होता क्या है सर, सब स्टॉक्स एक जैसे नहीं चलेंगे. नॉट ऑल स्टॉक्स विल गो अप एंड डाउन इन वन डायरेक्शन. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ सिचुएशन लाइक मार्च और फेब, वहां सर आप खुद के फंड मैनेजर बन जाओगे. यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू आस्क अस के क्या करो, क्योंकि आपने अगर मुझे 25 लाख दिया है तो मैंने 25 लाख का तो एडवाइस दे दिया आपको, लेकिन अगर आपने दूसरा 25 लाख 50 लाख और डाला है, आप अपना खुद का भी दिमाग चलाना चालू करोगे और आप बोलोगे अरे बॉस ये स्टॉक इतना गिर गया, चलो इसको एवरेज कर लेता हूँ. और वो शायद हमारा फिलोसफी हो ना हो. हाँ, अगर कुछ क्लाइंट ये बोलते हैं कि हम पूरा का पूरा कॉपी करेंगे, तो ट्रस्ट मी सर 15 साल में हमने एक भी क्लाइंट नहीं देखा जिसने पूरा का पूरा कॉपी किया, क्योंकि इमोशंस और बिहेवियर सबका अलग रहता है. जो मैं सोच के कर रहा हूँ सर वो मैं कर रहा हूँ. जब आप खुद डिसाइड करोगे ना तो सर आप वो नहीं कर पाओगे जो मैं सोच रहा हूँ. बट यस, हैविंग सेड दैट, दो चीज खाली लास्ट में बोलना चाहूंगा परेश भाई. इट्स पहली चीज, ये अनएथिकल प्रैक्टिस होगी अगर कोई करता है तो, और दुनिया बहुत छोटी, अगर हमें पता चलता है सो देयर इज अ एग्रीमेंट में क्लॉज है वेयर वी हैव अ चॉइस टू कम आउट ऑफ द रिलेशनशिप. बट यस, एज प्रैक्टिकली बोलूं तो सर हमें पता नहीं चलेगा आप क्या कर रहे हो, बट नुकसान एट द एंड ऑफ द डे आपका हो सकता है.
Correct. Then we have another question that if a particular stock invested gives very good return in 1 year, say 50%, and you are still bullish, but client wants to book that stock, can he do it?
नो सर, दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. तो सर अगर आपको करना है तो पूरा पोर्टफोलियो एग्जिट करना पड़ेगा. और अगर आपका समझो 1 करोड़ का पोर्टफोलियो है और अगर आप बोलोगे बॉस मुझे 25 लाख निकालना है, तो 25 लाख का भी कौन सा बेचना है सर हम बताएगा आपको, बिकॉज जो आपको सर सही लग रहा है वो हमारे लिए नहीं हो सकता है. तो आई विल टेल यू अगेन सेम एग्जांपल ऑफ लॉट ऑफ स्टॉक्स. हर बार जो टॉप लगता है सर वो 2 साल के बाद पता चलता है वो उसका बॉटम था, राइट. सो आई थिंक अगर आपने कोई एडवाइजर को चुना है तो सर यू विल हैव टू ट्रस्ट हिम. तो इट्स लाइक गोइंग टू अ डॉक्टर एंड सेइंग के बॉस आप मैं आया हूँ आपके पास लेकिन दवाई तो मैं वही लूंगा जो मेरे को लेनी है, तो डॉक्टर बोलेगा भाई फिर मेरे पास क्यों आया. सो द आइडिया हियर इज to get aligned with our philosophy. If you have your own style, no problem sir, आपके पास भी बहुत अच्छा philosophy हो सकता है and it might work, but please keep that for your other portfolio. यहाँ का जो portfolio है वो आप इसमें ही रहने दीजिए. That is the only limited point which I will like to share. But again, as I said, I have no control on your actions, but it will be hurting you, and for which there will be no recourse then later.
Okay, so from Nitin from our Delhi branch is asking a question. How do you deduct the performance fee after the tenure since DP and trading is with PL?
Yeah. So Nitin, the moment you execute the trade, you have to share the contract note with Purnartha, and we will be updating that contract note into our system. Now the good thing यहाँ भी हमने एक consumer friendly चीज की है, तो हमें भी पता है that not every client can execute on the same moment when I will be sending the recommendations. So we give you enough time. आप 6-7 दिन का टाइम लीजिए, कभी भी आप execute कीजिए, हम परफॉर्मेंस वो रेट से कैलकुलेट करेंगे जो रेट से आपने खरीदा है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने 100 रुपए में रिकमेंडेशन दिया है, अगर आपने 105 में भी बाय किया है चलेगा, हम 105 से परफॉर्मेंस कैलकुलेट करेंगे, एंड द परफॉर्मेंस विल बी कैलकुलेटेड एट द एंड ऑफ द टेन्योर. वी विल बी सेंडिंग यू अ शीट ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस फी कैलकुलेशन and the fees amount payable by you if any. One more thing, even the dividends if any of the companies will be added to the, so though dividends बहुत कम आने वाले हमारी कंपनीज में, because we usually invest in companies which are very very growth oriented companies and they require lot of capital to grow. So dividends बहुत कम होगा, लेकिन जो भी होगा वो भी हम ऐड करेंगे परफॉर्मेंस में.
Mr. Paresh has just given a small clarification that वो 25 लाख रुपए जो दे रहे हैं, अगर वो 5 फैमिली मेंबर के नाम से 5-5 लाख करते हैं, not duplicating the portfolio but taxation point of view से 25 को divide by 5
तो परेश भाई आप कर सकते हैं, लेकिन 5-5 लाख नहीं कर सकते सर. मैक्सिमम आप 25 लाख में 2 नाम हमें दे सकते हैं, दोनों के नाम का मैं एडवाइजरी एग्रीमेंट एग्जीक्यूट करूंगा, और फिर आप किसी के भी अकाउंट में कितना भी कर सकते हो, और आपको वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नोट हमें भेजना है. तो 25 लाख में मैक्सिमम 2 लाख 2 नाम में ले सकता हूँ सर, 5 नाम नहीं पॉसिबल है.
Okay, and I think now we just have 1 or 2 minutes left for the session to basically automatically end. So before that,
but we can log in again, Piyush.
I think we have some other session which will be proceeding after this thing.
Okay.
So we'll try to take as many within this next 2-3 minutes. So while giving recommendation in first investment, do you give choice of stocks to choose or fixed number of stocks without any choice to client to invest?
No. So if somebody has a problem with any stock, definitely there will be an alternative stock, but that problem has to be communicated. So I'll tell you what could be the problems. So the first problem could be if the client is an NRI, for example. So if we know it's an NRI client, definitely the stock would be different for an NRI client, because there are some stocks which they are not allowed to buy because of RBI limits. Second thing, if a person is working in a company like say KPMG or Deloitte or some investment banking company where they are not allowed to buy certain stocks, again we have alternative stocks for them as well, but then there has to be a reason. So otherwise mostly it is the same portfolio, but the allocations are totally different for every client. So many people ask, is the portfolio same for all the clients? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because the stocks are same, but the allocations are different for different clients depending on the profile of the client, and the allocations is the key factor for our performance.
Okay, great.
And we have a 35 to 40 stock universe, so definitely we have alternative stocks in every sector, but then it is only for a very specific reasons where we will entertain that request.
Correct. So I'm repeatedly getting one question: what is the minimum amount? So I'll just like to answer that the minimum amount is 25 lakhs. In some very rare situations, that can be split between 12.5 to 12.5
No,
lakhs.
so Piyush, just wanted to add one more thing. So if somebody is signing up for 1 year, the minimum amount is 25 lakh. If somebody is signing for 3 years, we might have some flexibility for some months, like maybe another 1 or 2 months. Because of this corona thing, we have just extended that period, so we might have a lower ticket size only for a 3-year plan, but it is flexible. So 25 lakh is the minimum ticket size, but yes, for 3-year plan we can do some flexibility if somebody has a genuine reason, and if he's really interested in signing up, we will do something for them for 3 years, but not for 1 year.
Okay, great. And one last question is about how do we execute. So on the execution side, I can just I'll just like to again repeat that advisory will come from Purnartha, and the execution will happen into your trading accounts wherever you have them. It's particularly, it's completely your choice. The execution is in your hands. The only process which Purnartha is insisting is कि आपने जो भी transaction execute किया है for the advices given, please send them the contract notes so that they can capture the performance for the calculation of returns and the hurdle rate. So with this, I think we have almost done with almost all the questions. Uh, there's no other question left to be answered. So great. I think, Rakesh, you took us through a very insightful session, and I like the honesty that you are, calculating the performance after deducting tax, which nobody else is doing. And there are a couple of other, positive and unique points about, Purnartha, which you
So
had
I'll
highlighted.
just, in just 1 minute, I'll just highlight the USPs just to close the session on a positive note. So
Sure.
these are the 4 to 5 USPs of Purnartha. First, being an independent investment advisor, execution will be done through your broker. You don't have to open new demat accounts. Ticket size is less than PMS. Underperformance is carried to the next year, as I've already mentioned. Performance fees are calculated after taking impact of capital gains. And in PMS, across all PMSs, across all mutual funds, we are number one on a 3 to 5 year basis period. And lastly, very, very important, I think this is the line which one should remember when investing with Purnartha. What you buy is important, very important, but how much you buy is 100 times important, and how long you hold is 1,000 times important. I think people miss out big time on the second and third point, because if you have a 2 crore portfolio and if you buy a stock with very high conviction for just 2 lakh, वो 2 लाख का 6 लाख भी हो जाएगा, 10 लाख भी हो जाएगा, आपका 2 करोड़ हिलने वाला नहीं है उधर से. So I think you should have good enough allocation for the right stocks, and that is where Purnartha will come handy for you.
Great, great, great. So I think that's a very good wrap up of the overall points you have made, and we will be holding this kind of sessions at our zonal and branch levels as well, where we will be answering more of your questions, whatever you have. The last thing I think Mr. Paresh is asking is monthly SIP possible or not?
Yes,
Consumption.
Pareshwar, we have that option. We can definitely evaluate that option as well. We have a 50,000 rupees SIP option for 3 years.
Great. And we'll be sharing you all the material as well, or your relationship manager also will be actually helping you with all these details. So with this, I think now this brings us to the end of the session. So thank you again, Rakesh, for the insightful session and the things which you have shared with us. And I again thank all the participants for uh, spending this, your precious time on this evening with us. We'll be, coming back very soon with some new and exciteful topics to discuss and educate you. With this, I think I'll again like to thank everyone. And with this, we end this session here. Thank you all. Thanks for participation.
Thank you, Piyush, and thanks a lot, entire PL team, and thanks, Sandeep, for this great session, and looking forward for a great relationship, and more than happy to do a lot of sessions with the different audience. Whenever you all want to facilitate, just give me a shout. Always available.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Rakesh.
Yeah.